This is the King's Court on Arena Sportsnet, presented by American Grappler.
I got more swagger than Mick Jagger, more sex appeal than Vince Neil.
All guests from all walks of life share their time with the King of Connecticut.
They are dreaming of just one night with a man such as myself.
Any and everything goes.
I am the King of Connecticut. I was raised with class and sophistication.
And now, from Norwalk, Connecticut, weighing in at 230 pounds, if George Clooney had muscles, they'd call him the King of Connecticut. The one, the only, Matt Granahan.
Alright, it is the pernicious purveyor of preposterous pomposity, manipulating the minuscule minds of the masses of miscreants. I am your host, the King of Connecticut, Matt Granahan, and when I agreed to do this show, when Brian Snow first approached me about having a show on the Arena Sports Network, I told him that I did not want to merely cover sports, because that can be a little boring. The play-by-play is great, and the Arena Sports Network is a leader in that. But I wanted to have guests on from a wide spectrum, and this guest that I have on right now, I first heard of through Adam Carolla. And let me tell you about Adam Carolla. We are the distributor of Mangria, which is Adam Carolla's high-octane sangria here in the Carolinas. And that product is doing extremely well for us here. And I heard an interview that Adam Carolla had with our next guest, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was one of the most honest discussions that I have ever heard. And I want to introduce our guest, author Taleeb Starks. How you doing tonight, Taleeb?
Hey, thanks, bro. I'm good, man. Just thanks for reaching out.
No problem. I want to introduce you because when I heard you on Adam Carolla's show, I had to take notice because it was a fantastic discussion. Your first book, Uncivil War, was outstanding in the fact that it was an extremely honest discussion on race in America, an honest discussion on what is going on in urban America. And you have a new book coming out that I understand is called Black Lives Matter. First of all, Taleeb, let me introduce you and talk first about yourself. On the show with Mr. Carolla, you talked about mentoring the youth in the urban centers, and talk a little bit about that and give yourself an introduction.
Yeah, well, I've been mentoring for 2 decades, and that was my way of approaching a problem that I see is pervasive in black communities across the country. And I didn't know how to fight back except by mass prevention. If you speak to the youth early, hopefully you can show them things and give them life advice that may keep them on a path that will be beneficial to the community overall. So that was the catalyst for becoming a mentor. But I started to see that wasn't enough. Just being a mentor wasn't enough, and I had to do more. And that's how the first book came about, and me just trying to do more to help the community, which is to say, look what's really happening. And so I took a lot of my life experience and statistics and other information just to have something to present to the community to the black community across the country, and as basically my as my product to say we need help, but the helping hand that we're looking for is at the end of our arm. It's not going to come from any outside entity, and we shouldn't expect it to come from any outside entity.
Absolutely. And, you know, but one of the worst things that anyone can do is to look in the mirror and see themselves as a victim. And that's what I got out of your first book. Because when you see yourself as a victim, it does a couple of things. It destroys your self-worth. It destroys any goal setting you might have. And also, it makes those around you uncomfortable, because if you're seeing yourself as a victim, you have an hostility that is outwardly present.
Yeah, and you know that the victim mentality is one of those. It's pervasive in the black community, and that sparked book number 2, because there's an entity that capitalizes off of the victim mentality, and I wanted to expose that group, and it's been around for I mean, Booker T. Washington talked about the group of he's talking about the NAACP at the time, and other group of colored people, as he said, that kept the grievances of the black community out front, so that they could keep jobs. And to this day, that is still in effect. We still have that conglomerate of individuals who themselves are pretty successful, but they want to tell black people that success in America is pretty much unattainable, and it's the white privilege.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's a mentality that says, you are a victim, you're in this box, and should you come out of this box, you are no longer one of us. And that was what I got out of your first book.
Yeah.
Dr. Bill Cosby was involved, and he's unfortunately since then been involved in some other problems, but he was involved in promoting your first book.
Yeah, and I will always have love for Dr. Cosby. And now that this Kill Bill campaign is going on, I wish him the best of luck. But he's pretty much one of the first celebrities to endorse my work. Now you have to remember that the first book I became a quote unquote controversial author because of the content, and using certain words and saying certain things that were politically incorrect, that are politically incorrect. And for Dr. Cosby to say, I support what this young man is doing, it showed other celebrities that it's okay. But even to this day, Matt, I have a lot of people who support behind closed doors. And they can't outright say, I'm with you, Taleeb, because of the ramifications that may come by, guilty by association, so to speak. And I understand that. I mean, we're in the era now we're the land of the free, but home of the offended. So people support me, but they can't do it outright. And so here I am. Luckily, there's platforms like yours who wants to be a part of the solution instead of the problem.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that, and I want to mention somebody that, I don't know if you know this guy, but he was very successful as a radio host. And when I first heard you and Adam, and I heard you on Anthony Cumia's show, it made me think of a guy that I used to listen to on the radio, the Black Avenger, Kenny Hamlin, who seemed to echo a lot of the same sentiments as you. Do you know him? And whatever happened to that guy?
No, I've never heard of the guy. I have to web search, see what he's about. The Black Avenger. That sounds like some Marvel comic.
Yeah. Well, he was very popular in the 90s as a radio host, and he was extremely popular, and he just kind of dropped off the face of the earth. I was wondering whatever happened to him. And I want to mention from Stanford University, a guy that's a great conservative intellectual, Thomas Sowell, Dr. Thomas Sowell. Are you familiar with his works?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. And I'll often say that Thomas Sowell and another esteemed professor, Walter Williams, those two are the grandfathers I never had. And I wish I had known about them earlier in my life, and to be able to incorporate some of the principles and some of and just absorb some of the wisdom that they had, instead of learning about them later in life. But better late than never.
Yeah, Dr. Thomas Sowell he's sort of a conservative, libertarian intellectual. He's at Stanford University. He wrote some great pieces. He wrote Black Rednecks and White Liberals, which was pretty, and that was pretty provocative, but it really, I think, spelled out a lot of problems in the communities you talk about. In ways that others might not want to approach.
Yeah, that's a classic. And I learned about his book while writing my book, and which was about 2011, 2012. And I'm like, where the hell has this guy been all my life? But the problem is, again, you have certain figures in the black community that'll be held up high, while others like Thomas Sowell, Walter Williams, those guys you never hear of, mainly because they don't subscribe to the victim mentality, which I think gets them ostracized. Had they been a Sharpton or Jesse Jackson type, where they're consistently blaming others for failures, then they'll be part of the group. I would have heard about them sooner had they subscribed to that same victimology mindset.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that really sickens me is the corruption of American politics. And that leads me into your new book, which is titled Black Lives Matter. And it's obviously a takeoff on the Black Lives Matter movement. And a lot of people may not know that movement is funded behind the scenes largely by a man named George Soros, who I think has greatly corrupted our politics.
Yeah, and you know what? Let me say this. Jay-Z, rapper Jay-Z, and Beyonce are huge supporters of the Black Lives Matter movement. In fact, during the Baltimore tsunami of 2015, some say riots, I call it the tsunami. They secretly bankroll tens of thousands of dollars to the quote-unquote protesters and bail money. And the same thing happened in Ferguson in 2014. They were secretly bailing out some of the rioters and looters, protesters, what have you. But the money that they contribute to Black Lives Matter is pennies compared to the money that's dispersed by George Soros. And, according to the Washington Times, Soros donated $33 million to dozens of different social justice groups like BLM during the Ferguson fiasco of 2014, with the intent of turning the local protests into a national flashpoint. Even having professional protesters bust from D.C. and New York into Ferguson to create that hostile climate.
Yeah, they're basically trying to create a problem, and when you see these protest, you don't realize who's funding them, and you don't realize how they're actual professionally funded movements. And there's puppeteers behind the strings.
Absolutely. And Black Lives Matter is just one of the pawns used to push other divisive agendas. They're literally just cannon fodder for a guy like Soros. With as many as what he wants to really do is just create anarchy, and BLM is doing a great job of pushing that agenda. But again, they're just the Trojan horse when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. And George Soros is also instrumental in trying to take away our Second Amendment rights, and he's involved in so many other things.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's really two guys that I think, in my opinion, have corrupted American politics with their money. Is George Soros and Sheldon Adelson. We can talk about him on a separate edition of the show. But these guys have corrupted American politics, and one of the things that I think is, and I'll tell you my take on the current political primary. One of the reasons why I think Donald Trump, whether you like him or you hate him, one of the reasons why he is so divisive is because he does not need their money. He does not want their money.
Yeah, and with the Citizens United decision, it's all about serving the big money. And when you have a guy who doesn't need big money and he's his own man, that really creates a wrinkle in the system. And they can't. He's basically the X factor. And I have to admit, I did not see him making it to becoming the nominee. I asked him out early in the game, thinking there's no way this guy would get past these other established politicians. But I'm happy to say that I'm wrong. Because what he's showing is that there's hope for others to move the way he moved. I pretty much became disenchanted with the political system just because of the money that's involved. And so it just seems like left wing, right wing are just a part of the same bird that's, to me, should go the way of the dodo bird.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. They're different wings of the same bird. That's a great way to describe them. And American politics is so corrupt. You look at Donald Trump, and you look at the vitriol that the media has come at him with. And again, whether you like him or you hate him, he has proven one thing, and he has proven that politics is corrupt to its very foundation in America.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Now, talk a little bit more about your new book. I'm going to give you the floor to talk about it. What was the catalyst that drove you to write this book? And without giving the entire synopsis away, what are some of the things you discuss in this book?
Well, like I said earlier, I look at this book as an extension of the first book. And this book takes aim at the purveyors of the victim mentality. And I also wanted to bring to the forefront that everyone is quick to talk about the prison industrial complex, the military industrial complex, but no one talks about the race industrial complex. And I think that the race industrial complex is just as important in this conversation as the other two. So I wanted to put that on put the race industrial complex on the radar. And
I want you to define what you mean by the race industrial complex.
Well, it's where race is being used as a weapon, and the weapon is dividing the country. And so, with the prison industrial complex, you can easily point to certain industries and go, okay, in legislation and say, this is all part of some plan. And you can do that with the military-industrial complex and talk about military spending. But when it comes to race, it's ambiguous. But it does exist. And you can see the tension that's created by different politicians. And, when you have the president saying, if I had a son, he looked like Trayvon, the subtleties, just to get that undercurrent moving by using race. And race has been one of the preeminent issues in this country for a century. So it's the third rail that people don't like to touch. But I think, again, this is something we should talk about. I mean, a house divided a house divided against itself cannot stand. So if we want America first, hey, let's talk about America and all of us who are here.
Absolutely. And, if you define yourself merely by your race, you really, and one of the things I really enjoyed about when you talked with Adam Carolla was, you talked about how you introduced these youngsters to things outside of their community, and you took them from the inner city to a more rural part of the community, outside of just sports and urban music, and that really touched a chord with me, because that's what I think you need to do. You don't need to be pigeonholed just because you're born in an urban community. It doesn't mean that you have to subscribe to just those things. You can open your eyes to a broader spectrum.
I agree, and I think that was part of what allowed me to grow to where I am. Is that I realized from traveling around the country that I've seen different things and heard different different dialects and food. And overall, people are generally just want to live and let live, But when you're urbanized, you feel as if everyone outside of the bubble, which is urban America, is against you. And when you get out here and you see that, that's not the case. You just gotta try different things, And these kids are, again, so urbanized that they don't know simple things like, camping. It's getting out and seeing some trees. It's a simple thing, water, fish. You see fish swimming, and let's try to catch some fish. Do things that are outside of the typical urban setting, and I feel like it unlocks. Hopefully, it unlocks some things mentally and internally that the kid can grow from,
and it will also help them to not see themselves, like I said, as opening as a victim. Because when you see yourself as a victim, you're not going to open your eyes to everything that is around you, and you're going to have that chip on your shoulder to where you're not going to embrace other people, other ideas outside of your community, and that's going to really make you. It's going to enslave yourself.
Yeah, you know what? And I agree. It's the view in urban America, it's just a myopic view where we just see the world through a narrow lens, and usually it's a lens of race and victimhood and vendetta. Because you feel like you're owed something. And if you don't get what you're owed, then you become angry. And when you're angry, you want to, you have a vendetta. And I remember this one kid, I was taking kids to a rec center to play basketball, go swimming. This one kid, he didn't want to go. He was new to the program. And he said, well, can you just drop me off around the corner at my mother's house? And I said, well, why do you want to hang with us? And he was like, well, my brother just got locked up, man, and I'm just not in the mood just to hang out. And he said, man, I'm telling you, man, these white folks, man, they really just keep us down, man. And so I said, wait a minute. I actually had to pull over the van when he said that. He's about 17. And I said, okay, wait, let me get this right. You said that the white people are holding you down, holding us down. And we're in Philadelphia. And I said, we're in Philadelphia. Right now we have a black mayor, two-term black mayor, black police chief, black fire chief, majority black city council president, black school superintendent, majority black city. Please see how the white man is holding you down. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and for that, and I actually felt like I saw his soul. I mean, he stared at me for, it felt like an eternity. He was staring at me trying to retort. But he had no comeback, and he said, you know what? He said, you're right. And that was him saying I was right. It was just like, kids never say that you're right. You know, that is part of it. You just do the actions, you know that you're right. But for him to say, you know, you're right. And I said, okay, now that's where the real dialogue begins, because he actually thought and used some critical thinking skill as opposed to what he's been told without examining. And you know, and he became one of the kids that when he left the program, I always kept in touch with to this day. You know, so yeah, that's what it takes.
That's a great example. That's an outstanding example. And, you know, I have similar examples from coaching, like coaching wrestling. And I'll tell you, one guy, Jason Lawrence, and I probably shouldn't mention the full name, but what the hell. He had come out of prison. And he had been in prison since he was a teenager. And he had wrestled a little bit in high school, and he was one of the guys that I was training for MMA fight. And he had that same kind of mentality. And what I think opened it up for him was, I told him, I said, look, it doesn't matter what color your opponent is. It doesn't matter where your opponent's from. It doesn't matter if they're Asian, if they're white, or whatever. If you don't have the skills it takes to beat them, they're going to kick your ass. It doesn't matter what color they are. You know, so start to look beyond race and stop looking at yourself as a victim. And this is a kid who looked at himself as a victim, I think, from the time he was a teenager. And here he is in his early 20s, and he had been locked up. And I really think that people who've gone through the prison system, that they can rebound. You know, I mean, it starts with you. If you take responsibility for yourself and you stop looking at yourself as a victim, you can make it. Anybody can be successful. It's a great quote that I always tell kids, and I tell kids I coach this. I say, if you think you can or you think you can't, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And basically that quote means, if you think you're going to lose, you're going to lose. If you think you're going to win, chances are you're going to win.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Control your own destiny.
Wait a minute. Did I hear Yoda say that? Was that a Yoda quote?
I think it might be, man. I think I might have stolen it from. I don't know who I stole that from, but I stole that from somebody.
I'm just kidding, man.
But it's true. Whether you think you can, you think you can't, you're right. You know.
Yeah.
And you have to. It's within yourself. If you think you're going to lose, and if you have a loser's mentality, if you have a victim mentality, you're gonna be a victim.
Yeah.
If you have a winner's mentality, chances are you're going to win. And if you lose and you have that mentality, you're going to learn from that loss and you're going to come back and you're going to win.
Yeah, I get it. The winner who says I'm going to win and the loser who says I'm going to lose, both of them are right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I stole that from Yoda. I stole that from somebody. Every quote I have on this show, I think I stole from somebody. You know, there's nothing new under the sun, you know?
There's nothing new under the sun. I agree.
Well, your new book sounds fantastic. How can folks go about purchasing that?
Well, it's on Amazon, and it's #1 new release and #1 in minority studies. So it's pretty easy to find on Amazon. It's on Amazon exclusively for now because it's been so successful there. And
that's pretty awesome. #1 on minority studies. That's huge.
Absolutely. That's phenomenal because if you look at the competition, not even minority studies and African American studies, #1 there as well in the new releases. And if you look in that section, it's just a bunch of grievance books of, woe is me, slavery did this to me, slavery again, there's slavery, white man, racism, and then there it is, my little book. I'm just like, one of these books don't belong here, but somehow it made it. So I'm thankful that people
I think it does belong to me because I think you're delivering the right message. You're delivering a message of hope. You're delivering a message of success. You're not delivering a message of let's wallow in self-pity.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Listen, one thing about this country is that it doesn't promise you success, but it does provide the opportunity to be successful. That's pretty much all you can ask for.
Absolutely. You know what? It's another great quote if I stole from somebody else, but you're guaranteed opportunity, not success.
That's right.
Yeah, you can't guarantee someone success. If you do guarantee them success, chances are that was handed to you, and if that's handed to you, it can easily be taken away.
Yeah, and if someone guarantees you success, that's pretty much a Ponzi scheme. That's Bernie Madoff telling you, I'm going to turn your $1 million. So I'm not, I just want the opportunity, and that's what the country has provided for us for a long time. So it's just up to the individual, man.
Absolutely. Well, Taleeb, you are doing great work, and I want to thank you for being on the show on the King's Court this evening. And I want to wish you future success. Everybody, go to Amazon and purchase Black Lives Matter by Taleeb Starks, his newest book. And I just want to ask Taleeb, have you heard the new joke that's been going around?
Oh.
I have not.
So there's a new joke that's been going around. What 225-pound, dashingly handsome, disappeared in an instant? Let me tell you about American Grappler Wrestling and MMA Outfitters. American Grappler makes shirts that honor the American wrestling and combat sports tradition unlike any other brand on the market today. And I'm going to tell you a little personal story. American Grappler just did a tribute shirt to my coach, my mentor, one of my best friends, the legendary Billy Wicks, who just passed on. And all of the profits of this shirt are going to Billy Wicks' family. That's what kind of a brand this is. They are not just an advertiser on the King's Court. They are not just an advertiser on the Arena Sports Network. They have become family. And let me tell you something else about American Grappler. Their shirts are of the finest quality. I've been training in these shirts and wearing them proudly for years. Support American wrestling heritage. Go to AmericanGrappler.us today. You'll be happy you did.